When struggling art teacher Olivia Chen agrees to pose as tech mogul Ethan Blake's wife for $15,000, she expects nothing more than a weekend of pretending. But the real surprise? Falling for the man behind the billion-dollar empire, and he might just feel the same way. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. The afternoon rush at Brushstrokes Art Studio was finally winding down. Olivia Chen wiped paint-stained fingers on her apron and glanced at the wall clock. Just one more hour until her last student left. Then she had to race across town for her night shift at the gallery. At 32, she was exhausted from juggling her teaching position with evening work. But the mounting bills wouldn't pay themselves. "Olivia, your phone's been buzzing non-stop in the back," called Zoe, her assistant instructor. With a sigh, Olivia untied her splattered apron and hurried to the small office. 4 missed calls from her brother and 1 from a number she didn't recognize. She called her brother first. "Ryan, is everything okay? Are the boys all right?" she asked, immediately concerned. "They're fine," her brother said, sounding frazzled. "But Noah's school just called. He's in the nurse's office with a fever. I'm stuck in a critical client meeting I can't leave, and since the separation—" "I'll get him," Olivia said automatically, already calculating how she'd have to call the gallery and reschedule her shift. "Give me 45 minutes. After hanging up, she dialed the unknown number, thinking it might be a potential client for private lessons. "Olivia Chen? This is Victoria Palmer. We met at the Reynolds Foundation fundraiser last spring. I coordinated the art auction where your student's work was featured." Olivia vaguely recalled her, a sharply dressed woman with an air of efficiency who had helped make the charity event a success. "I have an unusual opportunity for you," Victoria continued. "One of my clients needs a woman to pose as his wife for a weekend." "Excuse me." Olivia nearly dropped her phone. "It pays $15,000, Victoria added quickly. Olivia fell into the desk chair, stunned. "I'm sorry, I think I misheard you." "I know how it sounds," Victoria said, "but I assure you, it's completely professional. My client, Ethan Blake, is attending a family gathering this weekend. His mother, who recently finished cancer treatment, is hosting it at their family estate. She believes he's been married for the past year." "And he's not?" Olivia stated flatly. "No, Ethan mentioned a wife to stop his mother's matchmaking efforts during her illness." The lie grew, and now she's insisting on meeting this woman. "He needs someone believable, someone warm, who can handle high-pressure situations gracefully. I remembered how you kept your composure when that donor made a scene at the auction." Olivia almost laughed. "So you want me to pretend to be some tech billionaire's wife for a weekend? That's insane. $15,000 for 3 days, Olivia. All expenses paid. You'd arrive Friday afternoon and leave Monday morning." The sum made Olivia's heart race. Ryan's mortgage payment was overdue. The boys needed new winter clothes. Her own apartment's rent had increased last month, and she was barely making ends meet. "Why not hire an actress?" she asked. "Ethan doesn't want someone who'll overdo it. He needs someone genuine, someone real." Olivia thought about her nephew waiting to be picked up from school, about the stack of past-due notices on her kitchen counter, about how long it had been since she'd taken a full day off. "I'd need to arrange care for my nephews," she said, hardly believing she was considering it. "Of course. A car will pick you up Friday at noon." After collecting Noah from school and getting him settled with fever medicine and his favorite cartoon, Olivia called the gallery to reschedule her shift. One income source temporarily on hold, but $15,000 would cover months of expenses. It seemed too good to be true. That evening, after Ryan returned from work and the boys were asleep, Olivia told her brother about the offer. "Are you serious?" Ryan exclaimed. "That sounds like the setup for a horror movie." "I checked him out online," Olivia said, showing her brother her phone. "Ethan Blake is legitimate. Founder of Horizon Innovations, worth billions. His company revolutionized renewable energy technology." Ryan scrolled through images of a tall, dark-haired man with penetrating eyes and a serious expression. "He's good-looking, I'll give him that. But pretending to be his wife? What if he's a creep?" "Victoria assured me we'd have separate rooms. It's just for show for his mother." Ryan looked skeptical. "And you're really considering this?" Olivia took a deep breath. "Ryan, it's $15,000. That's 4 months of your mortgage. That's winter clothes for the boys. That's breathing room. Her brother's expression softened. You've done so much for us since Melissa left. I hate that you're even thinking about this because of me. It's not just for you, Olivia insisted. It's for all of us. And honestly, how hard can it be? Smile, make small talk, pretend to be in love with a handsome billionaire for a weekend. People do worse things for less money every day. On Friday morning, Olivia packed a small suitcase with her nicest clothes. Victoria had emailed detailed instructions, including a brief on Ethan's background and their fabricated relationship story. They'd supposedly met at a charity art exhibition, dated quietly for 8 months, and married in a private ceremony in Hawaii. At noon, a sleek black car pulled up outside her apartment building. The driver took her suitcase and Olivia slid into the back seat, her stomach in knots. After a 90-minute drive into the countryside, they arrived at a sprawling estate, surrounded by meticulously landscaped gardens. As the car pulled up to the main house, Olivia spotted a man waiting on the steps. Ethan Blake himself, dressed in a tailored charcoal sweater and dark jeans, looking even more imposing in person than in his photos. The driver opened her door, and Olivia stepped out, smoothing her simple navy dress. Ethan approached with measured steps. "Mrs. Blake, I presume," he said quietly, his voice deep and controlled. "That would be me," Olivia replied with a nervous smile. Up close, his eyes were a striking amber, his features sharp and defined. There was a tiredness around his eyes that the online photos hadn't captured. "We should establish some ground rules before we go inside," he said, guiding her a few steps away from the driver. "My mother believes we've been married for nearly a year. She's in remission, but her health is still fragile. This weekend means everything to her." Olivia nodded. "I understand. I've memorized our backstory." "Good." His expression remained serious. "Physical contact will be necessary for believability. Hand-holding, casual touches, nothing inappropriate, but it can't look awkward between us." "I can handle that," Olivia said, though she felt a flutter of nerves at the thought. Ethan studied her face. "You're not what I expected." "Is that good or bad?" A hint of a smile touched his lips. "We'll see. Ready to meet my mother?" They entered the grand house together, Ethan's hand lightly touching the small of her back in a gesture that felt strangely natural. The entrance hall was breathtaking, with marble floors and a crystal chandelier casting rainbow prisms across the walls. "Ethan!" A warm voice called from the top of the curved staircase. An elegant woman in her 60s descended the stairs, her face lighting up at the sight of them. Despite signs of her recent illness, her slender frame and the silk scarf wrapped stylishly around her head, Eleanor Blake moved with grace and purpose. "And this must be Olivia," she said, reaching the bottom of the stairs and approaching with open arms. Before Olivia could react, Eleanor enveloped her in a gentle hug. "I've waited so long to meet you, my dear. When Ethan told me he'd married in secret, I was heartbroken to have missed it, but now I understand why he kept you all to himself." Olivia returned the hug, genuinely touched by the woman's warmth. "It's wonderful to finally meet you, Mrs. Blake. Please, call me Eleanor. We're family now." Olivia felt Ethan's arms slide around her waist, his body close to hers. "Mother?" "Olivia's had a long drive. Perhaps we could show her to our room so she can freshen up before dinner." "Our room?" Olivia struggled to keep her expression neutral. That wasn't part of the plan. "Of course," Eleanor said. "Though I hope you don't mind, I've scheduled a welcome dinner tonight with just a few guests. Nothing too overwhelming for your first evening." Ethan guided Olivia up the stairs, his hand still on her waist. As soon as they were out of earshot, Olivia whispered, "Our room? Victoria said we'd have separate rooms." "Change of plans," Ethan replied quietly. "My mother insisted on putting us in the East Wing Master Suite. Don't worry, it has a sitting area with a sofa. I'll sleep there." He opened a door to reveal a stunning bedroom with a massive 4-poster bed, plush seating area, and French doors leading to a private balcony. Olivia's suitcase had already been placed near an ornate vanity. "Bathrooms through there," Ethan said, pointing to a door. "Dinner's at 7. Wear something formal. My mother loves any excuse for guests to dress up." "Wait," Olivia said as he turned to leave. "Shouldn't we, I don't know, practice or something?" Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Practice?" "You know, being a couple. If we've been married for a year, we should be comfortable around each other. Right now, we're like awkward strangers." He considered this, then nodded. "You're right." He moved closer, and Olivia's breath caught. Slowly, he reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lightly brushing her skin. "My wife wears her hair down more often than up," he said softly. "She drinks green tea in the morning, but switches to herbal in the afternoon. When she's nervous, she traces patterns on her palm with her thumb." Olivia blinked, surprised by the detailed fiction he'd created. "And my husband?" A shadow of something, vulnerability perhaps, crossed his face. "He works too much," he said. "He's better with technology than people. But he calls you every night when he travels, even if it's just to say goodnight." For a moment, Olivia could almost believe this man standing before her was someone who had shared her life for a year. Then he stepped back, breaking the spell. "I'll return at 6:30 to escort you to dinner," he said, his professional demeanor back in place. "The guests tonight are close friends of my mother's, plus my chief innovation officer and his wife. There's also a chance my sister might make an appearance, though we haven't spoken in months." "You have a sister?" Olivia asked, realizing how little she actually knew about him. "Sophia. Younger by 4 years. We had a disagreement over the company direction." His jaw tightened. "If she shows up, just follow my lead." After Ethan left, Olivia sat on the edge of the massive bed, feeling overwhelmed. What had she gotten herself into? Pretending to be married to a man she'd just met, navigating family drama and business relationships, all while trying to appear genuinely in love. She unpacked her nicest dress, a deep emerald silk she'd splurged on years ago for a gallery opening. It would have to do. As she hung it in the closet, she noticed Ethan's clothes already arranged inside, his shoes perfectly aligned below them. Everything about him was precise, controlled. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. While preparing for dinner, Olivia tried to calm her nerves by focusing on the details. This was just a job. A strange job, but still just a performance. She could do this. At exactly 6:30, Ethan knocked on the door. When she opened it, she found him in a perfectly tailored dark suit, his hair combed back, looking every inch the successful tech mogul. His eyes widened slightly at the sight of her in the emerald dress, her chestnut hair falling in soft waves around her shoulders. "You look beautiful," he said, his voice holding no calculation. "Thank you," Olivia replied, feeling a blush rise to her cheeks. "You clean up nicely yourself." Ethan offered his arm. "Ready, Mrs. Blake?" Olivia took a deep breath and slipped her hand through his arm, feeling the solid warmth of him beside her. "As ready as I'll ever be." As they walked downstairs together, Ethan leaned close to her ear. "Just be yourself," he whispered. "That's why I chose you." His words sent an unexpected thrill through her. For just a moment as they descended the grand staircase arm in arm, it was easy to forget this was all pretend. Too easy, in fact, and that worried her more than anything else. The dining room glowed with candlelight, crystal and silver shimmering on the elegantly set table. As Ethan led Olivia into the room, 6 faces turned to observe them with obvious curiosity. Eleanor stood at the head of the table, beaming with pride. "Everyone, this is Olivia, my son's wife," she announced, her voice filled with joy. "Olivia, these are our closest friends and family." A distinguished older couple rose first. "I'm Margaret Winston, and this is my husband, James," the woman said, embracing Olivia warmly. "We've known Ethan since he was climbing trees in the backyard. It's about time he settled down." "And with such a lovely woman," James added with a wink. Next, a sharp-featured man in his 40s approached with a blonde woman. "Daniel Foster, Chief Innovation Officer at Horizon," he said, shaking Olivia's hand firmly. "And my wife, Rebecca." Rebecca gave Olivia a calculating once-over. "So, you're the mystery woman Ethan's been hiding. We were beginning to think you didn't exist." Olivia felt Ethan's hand tighten slightly on her waist. "I assure you, she's very real," he said, his voice containing a hint of warning. Before Rebecca could respond, the dining room door opened again. A woman who resembled a female version of Ethan entered, her designer dress immaculate, her dark hair swept into a sleek updo. "Sorry I'm late," she said, her gaze immediately landing on Olivia. Traffic was a nightmare. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Ethan's body tensed beside Olivia. "Sophia," Eleanor said, her voice tight with forced cheerfulness. "I'm so glad you could make it. This is Olivia, Ethan's wife." Sophia's perfectly shaped eyebrows shot up. "Wife? Well, big brother. You have been keeping secrets." She approached Olivia with a polished smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Sophia Blake, the less boring sibling." "It's nice to meet you," Olivia said politely, feeling the tension radiating from Ethan. "Let's all sit down," Eleanor suggested, clearly trying to diffuse the situation. Chef Pascal has prepared his famous coq au vin. Dinner was a masterclass in strained politeness. Ethan and Sophia avoided speaking directly to each other, while Rebecca Foster peppered Olivia with questions about her relationship with Ethan. "So where did you two meet again?" Rebecca asked, swirling her wine. Olivia smiled, recalling the backstory. "At the Westridge Gallery charity exhibition last year, Ethan donated to the arts education program I was supporting." "Olivia works as an art teacher," Ethan added, his hand finding hers on the table. "She was curating the student exhibition." "An art teacher," Rebecca repeated, her tone making the profession sound dubious. "How interesting." "Olivia is also raising her nephews with her brother," Ethan continued smoothly. "After his separation, she's been helping support all of them. Her dedication to family is one of the many things I admire about her." Olivia looked at him in surprise. That detail wasn't in their prepared backstory, and it was completely true. How did he know? "Family is everything," Eleanor said approvingly. "And speaking of family, when might we expect some little ones?" "I'm not getting any younger, you know." Olivia nearly choked on her wine. Ethan calmly passed her a napkin. "We're focusing on enjoying being newlyweds for now, Mother," he said. "But children are definitely in our future." His hand squeezed Olivia's gently, and she found herself wondering what Ethan would be like as a father. Would he be warm and attentive or distant like he seemed with most people? "Well, don't wait too long," Margaret chimed in. "The best years of our lives were raising our children, weren't they, James?" As the conversation shifted to reminiscing about Ethan's childhood, Sophia leaned forward. "So, Olivia," she said loudly enough to draw everyone's attention, "how does my brother find time for a marriage? When I worked with him, he was lucky to leave the office before midnight." "Sophia," Eleanor warned. "It's a fair question," Sophia said innocently. "I'm just curious how my workaholic brother manages work-life balance now." Olivia felt Ethan tense beside her, but before he could respond, she placed her hand on his arm. "It wasn't easy at first," she said, looking at Ethan with a soft smile. "But we made a rule. No devices in the bedroom, and Sunday mornings are just for us, no matter what." She turned back to Sophia. "Sometimes love means making adjustments to your priorities." Ethan's eyes met hers, something unreadable in their depths. "Well said, dear." Eleanor approved. "Now, who's ready for dessert?" After dinner, the group moved to the formal living room for coffee. Olivia found herself seated beside Eleanor on a plush sofa, while Ethan was pulled into a conversation with Daniel Foster across the room. "He looks at you differently," Eleanor said quietly. "I'm sorry?" Olivia asked. "Ethan. He's always been so controlled, so reserved. But when he looks at you," Eleanor smiled, "I see the little boy who used to bring me wildflowers and watch for shooting stars." Guilt tightened Olivia's chest. "Ethan is not always easy to read." "That's putting it mildly," Eleanor chuckled. "After his father died, when Ethan was just 16, he took it upon himself to be the man of the house. He grew up too fast." Her eyes grew distant. "When I got sick last year, do you know what he did? Moved his entire office to the hospital so he could sit with me during treatments. Never let me see how worried he was." Olivia watched Ethan across the room, seeing him in a new light. "He cares deeply about you. "And about you," Eleanor added. "I can tell. Promise me something, Olivia. Don't let him retreat into his work when things get difficult. He needs someone to pull him back into life." Before Olivia could respond, Sophia dropped into the seat on her other side. "So, sister-in-law," she said, her voice lowered. "What's the real story? What does an art teacher see in my brother besides his bank account?" Olivia stiffened. "I understand you and Ethan have your differences, but I'd appreciate if you wouldn't insult our relationship." Sophia raised her hands in surrender. "No insult intended. Just curious. Ethan's not exactly known for his warm personality." "There's more to your brother than most people see," Olivia said firmly. "Is there?" Sophia's eyes narrowed. "Or is there less?" "The great Ethan Blake. All business, no heart. Ask him about the Rivera project. Ask how many small businesses were displaced because of his sustainable community initiative." "Sophia, that's enough." Ethan's voice cut in sharply. He stood over them, his expression hard. "It's getting late, and Olivia and I have had a long day." "Of course," Sophia smirked. "Wouldn't want to keep the newlyweds from their alone time." Eleanor rose, looking tired. "Yes, it is getting late. Thank you all for coming tonight. We'll see everyone tomorrow for the family activities." As the guests made their goodbyes, Ethan kept his arm firmly around Olivia's waist. When they finally returned to their suite, he immediately loosened his tie with a frustrated sigh. "I apologize for my sister," he said, pacing the room, "and for Rebecca Foster's rudeness." "It's okay," Olivia said, slipping off her heels. "Family gatherings are never easy." Ethan stopped pacing and looked at her. "You are remarkable, especially with Sophia. I have experience with difficult people. Comes with the territory when you teach art to teenagers." She smiled, trying to lighten the mood. He didn't smile back. "What else did Sophia say to you?" Olivia hesitated. "She mentioned something about a Rivera project. Said small businesses were displaced." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Rivera Commons was a failing district when we began the project. Businesses were already closing. Buildings were condemned. Yes, we cleared the area for redevelopment, but we offered relocation assistance to every business owner." He ran a hand through his hair. "Sophia wanted to preserve the entire neighborhood at the company's expense, sink millions into propping up a dying area. It wasn't sustainable." "You don't have to explain your business decisions to me," Olivia said quietly. "Don't I?" He looked at her with intensity. "You're supposed to be my wife. You should know these things about me." Olivia crossed her arms. "Fine then. As your wife, I'd want to know your side of the story, not just what other people say." For a moment, Ethan looked caught off guard. Then, surprisingly, the corner of his mouth lifted slightly. "You really are good at this." "At what?" "Being real." He moved to the balcony doors, looking out at the dark gardens. "Most people in my world are performing all the time, saying what they think I want to hear, looking for angles." Olivia joined him at the window. "And what am I looking for?" He turned to face her. "That's what I'm trying to figure out." The air between them felt charged with something Olivia couldn't quite name. For a moment, she thought he might reach for her, but instead, he stepped back. "You should get some rest," he said, his professional mask sliding back into place. "Tomorrow we'll be busy. The family activities start at 9. Ethan gathered some things from a dresser drawer. "I'll use the bathroom first, if you don't mind. Then it's all yours." When he emerged from the bathroom in silk pajama bottoms and a plain t-shirt, Olivia was struck by how different he looked. Younger somehow, more approachable. He arranged blankets on the couch in the sitting area. "You don't have to sleep there," Olivia said impulsively. "The bed is huge. We could share it and still be feet apart." Ethan paused. "I don't think that's a good idea." "Why not? We're both adults and you'll be miserable on that couch. You're too tall for it." He seemed to consider this. "If you're sure you're comfortable with it." "I am," she said, though her racing heart suggested otherwise. After Olivia changed into her pajamas and completed her bedtime routine, she found Ethan already in bed, reading glasses perched on his nose as he reviewed documents on a tablet. The sight was strangely intimate. Work never stops? She asked, slipping under the covers on her side of the bed. It would make a poor impression if the CEO showed up unprepared for his own company's family weekend, he replied, not looking up. Olivia settled against the pillows, keeping to her side. What do you actually do all day as a CEO? I mean, specifics. That made him glance over. Why do you want to know? Just making conversation. And if I'm playing your wife, I should probably know what you do at work. Ethan set down his tablet. Meetings mostly. Strategic planning, reviewing research and development projects. Right now we're developing solar technology that could make clean energy accessible in developing regions. His voice changed when he talked about his work, becoming more animated. Olivia found herself genuinely interested. That actually sounds meaningful. It is, he said, and for once he didn't sound defensive. Technology should improve lives, not just make money. Is that what you and Sophia disagreed about? Ethan was quiet for a moment. Partly. Sophia wanted faster returns, flashier products. I wanted sustainable growth and meaningful impact. He removed his reading glasses. But the real break came when our mother got sick. I took time away to be with her. Sophia made some decisions in my absence that nearly tanked a key research project. When I returned and reversed her choices, she quit. I'm sorry, Olivia said softly. Ethan shrugged, but she could see the hurt beneath his composed exterior. Family business can be complicated. All family is complicated, Olivia replied. My brother and I had our share of fights after his separation. I thought he should stand up more to his ex-wife. He thought I was being too judgmental. And were you? Ethan asked, turning to face her fully. Olivia smiled ruefully. Probably. But those boys mean everything to me. How did you end up raising them with him? Melissa left them. Just walked out one day, said motherhood wasn't for her. Ryan was devastated, completely unprepared to be a single dad. My apartment was too small for all of us, so I moved in with them. Help with bills, childcare, everything. She sighed. Hence the art teaching and gallery work. Ethan watched her face. That's a lot of responsibility you didn't ask for. You do what you have to for family, Olivia said simply. They fell into a comfortable silence. Olivia felt her eyelids growing heavy. What time did you say those activities start tomorrow? She murmured. 9, Ethan replied, turning off his tablet. But breakfast is at 8. Olivia murmured, already half asleep. Don't let me oversleep. I won't, he promised, reaching to turn off the lamp between them. In the darkness, Olivia was acutely aware of his presence just feet away. She wondered if he felt the strange connection too, this comfort with a near stranger that shouldn't exist. Good night, Ethan, she whispered. Good night, Olivia, he replied, his deep voice soft in the darkness. Just before sleep claimed her, Olivia realized something troubling. For a few moments, talking about their families, sharing the quiet intimacy of a bedtime conversation, she'd completely forgotten this was all pretend. The morning sunlight streaming through the balcony doors woke Olivia. She blinked, momentarily disoriented by the luxurious surroundings. Then she felt something warm against her back and froze. Somehow during the night the careful distance between them had vanished. Ethan's arm was draped over her waist, his body curved protectively around hers. His steady breathing told her he was still asleep. Olivia remained perfectly still, her heart racing. She should move away, return to her side of the bed before he woke up. This wasn't part of their arrangement, but it felt nice, safe, real, and that was the most dangerous thing of all. Olivia held her breath as Ethan stirred behind her, his arm tightening around her waist for a brief moment before he seemed to realize their position. He quickly pulled away, rolling to his side of the bed. I apologize, he said, his voice rough with sleep. I didn't mean to. It's fine, Olivia cut in, sitting up and keeping her back to him to hide her flushed cheeks. We were asleep. It happens. She slipped out of bed and hurried to the bathroom without looking at him. Once alone, she leaned against the door, taking deep breaths to calm her racing heart. This was supposed to be a simple arrangement. Pretend to be married, collect the money, go home. Feelings weren't part of the deal. When Olivia emerged from the bathroom dressed in jeans and a soft blue sweater, Ethan was already fully dressed in casual but expensive-looking clothes, typing on his phone. "Ready for breakfast?" he asked without looking up. "Nearly," she replied, running a brush through her hair. "What exactly are the family activities today?" "Sailing on the lake this morning," Ethan said, putting his phone away. "Then lunch, followed by a discussion I'm leading about our latest sustainability initiatives. Tonight, there's a formal dinner and charity auction." "Sounds busy," Olivia commented, applying a touch of makeup. Ethan watched her for a moment. "You'll be expected to participate in the spouses' activities during my presentation. I believe they've arranged a tour of the art collection and a tea." Olivia nodded, trying not to feel nervous about spending time with the other spouses without Ethan nearby. "I can handle that." He moved to stand behind her as she finished with her makeup, their eyes meeting in the mirror. "About last night, what Sophia said. It doesn't matter," Olivia said firmly. "I'm not here to judge your business decisions or take sides in your family drama." Something flashed in his eyes. Relief, maybe, or disappointment. "Right. This is just a job for you." The words stung more than they should have. "Isn't that what you wanted? Someone to play a role?" Before Ethan could answer, a knock sounded at their door. "Breakfast in 15 minutes, called a cheerful voice, Eleanor's. "We'll be right down, Mother," Ethan responded, his eyes still locked with Olivia's in the mirror. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Ethan stepped away, breaking the tension. "We should go." Breakfast was served on the sunny terrace overlooking the lake. Several couples were already seated at the long table when Ethan and Olivia arrived. Eleanor waved them over to 2 empty chairs. "Good morning, you two," she said warmly. "Sleep well?" Olivia felt heat rise to her cheeks but managed to smile. "Very well, thank you. The room is beautiful." "I had it specially prepared," Eleanor said with a wink. "That's the bed Ethan was conceived in, you know." "Mother!" Ethan groaned, nearly choking on his coffee. Eleanor laughed. "Oh, don't be such a prude, darling. You're married now." She turned to the table at large. "Everyone, for those who weren't at dinner last night, this is my daughter-in-law, Olivia." As introductions went around the table, Ethan's hand found Olivia's under the tablecloth, giving it a reassuring squeeze. The simple gesture steadied her. After breakfast, the group moved to the boathouse by the lake, where several sailboats awaited. Olivia found herself paired with Ethan for the morning activity. "Ever been sailing?" he asked as they walked down the wooden dock. "Never," she admitted. "I'm a city girl, remember?" To her surprise, a genuine smile lit up his face. "Then I get to teach you something. I practically lived on these boats as a teenager." The morning on the water revealed a different side of Ethan. As he showed her how to adjust the sails and navigate the small boat, he was patient, even playful at times. The wind tousled his usually perfect hair, and the sunlight softened the sharp lines of his face. When Olivia successfully tacked the boat for the first time, his proud smile made her heart flutter. "You're a natural," he said, his hand brushing hers on the tiller. "I have a good teacher," she replied, finding herself drawn to this more relaxed version of him. They sailed to a small cove, where the other boats were gathering for a mid-morning break. As they approached the dock, Olivia lost her balance when the boat bumped against the wood. Ethan caught her instantly, his arms wrapping around her waist. For a breathless moment, they stood pressed against each other, his face inches from hers. "Careful," he murmured, his eyes dropping briefly to her lips. "Sorry," she whispered, making no move to pull away. "Well, don't you two look cozy?" came Sophia's voice from the dock, breaking the spell. Ethan helped Olivia onto the dock, his professional demeanor returning. As they joined the others for refreshments, Eleanor approached them, looking pleased. "You two moved together so naturally," she said, "just like Ethan's father and I used to." "Mom's a romantic," Ethan explained to Olivia after his mother moved away. "She and my father were married for 30 years before he passed. They were partners in everything." "They must have been very happy," Olivia said. Ethan's expression softened. "They were. Even when they..." Disagreed, there was never any doubt they were on the same team. He gazed across the lake, lost in thought. I didn't appreciate what they had until it was gone. The vulnerability in his voice touched something in Olivia. Without thinking, she reached up and brushed a strand of hair from his forehead. His eyes met hers, surprised but warm. Ethan. Daniel Foster's voice shattered the moment. We need to review the presentation notes before lunch. Ethan stepped back, his professional mask sliding back into place. Of course. Excuse me, Olivia. As he walked away with Daniel, Rebecca Foster sidled up beside Olivia. Enjoying playing house with the CEO? She asked, her smile not reaching her eyes. Pardon me? Olivia asked, tensing. Rebecca laughed lightly. Oh, don't look so alarmed. I'm just making conversation. It must be quite an adjustment, moving from whatever you did before to this world. I'm still an art teacher, Olivia said evenly. Marriage didn't change my career. How progressive of Ethan, Rebecca remarked. Though I imagine it won't be long before you're running a foundation or sitting on some museum board. That's what wives in this circle typically do. Before Olivia could respond, Sophia appeared beside them, looking more put together than she had the previous night. Ladies, she greeted them. Rebecca, could I steal my sister-in-law for a moment? Rebecca smiled tightly. Of course. We'll chat more at the tea, Olivia. As Rebecca walked away, Sophia guided Olivia toward a stone bench near the water's edge. Don't let her get to you, she said. Rebecca's been trying to climb the social ladder for years. She sees you as competition. I'm not competing for anything, Olivia replied cautiously. Sophia studied her face. You really aren't, are you? That's refreshing. She sat on the bench, gesturing for Olivia to join her. I owe you an apology for last night. I was testing you. Testing me? My brother hasn't had the best judgment when it comes to relationships. His last girlfriend was only interested in what Ethan could do for her career. Olivia thought about the $15,000 waiting for her at the end of this weekend and felt a stab of guilt. You're protective of him? She observed. Sophia laughed. Don't sound so surprised. We may have our differences, but he's still my brother. Her expression grew serious. The thing is, I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you. Olivia's heart stuttered. How does he look at me? Like you're real, Sophia said simply. Like he sees you. A bell rang, signaling lunch. Sophia stood, offering Olivia her arm. Shall we? I promise to behave myself this time. Lunch was served buffet style on the terrace. Ethan found Olivia as she was filling her plate. Everything okay? He asked quietly. I saw you talking with Sophia. She was actually being nice, Olivia said. Apologized for last night. Ethan looked surprised. That's unexpected. She seems to care about you in her own way. Ethan's jaw tightened. Sophia cares about Sophia. Don't be fooled by the charm. After lunch, the group split up. The executives headed to the conference room for Ethan's presentation, while the spouses gathered for a tour of Eleanor's impressive art collection. As they strolled through the gallery wing of the house, Eleanor linked her arm through Olivia's. You've been good for my son, she said. I see a lightness in him I haven't seen in years. Guilt gnawed at Olivia. He's good for me too, she said, and was surprised to realize she meant it. When I was diagnosed last year, Eleanor continued, I worried I might not see him truly happy. He's always been so focused on the company, on taking care of everyone else. She squeezed Olivia's arm. Thank you for bringing him back to life. Olivia felt like the worst person in the world. This kind woman was thanking her for a lie. The art tour ended in a charming sunroom where afternoon tea was set up. As they sat enjoying tiny sandwiches and pastries, Rebecca Foster took the seat next to Olivia. So tell us, Rebecca said loudly enough for all the women to hear. How did Ethan propose? He's not exactly known for his romantic gestures. All eyes turned to Olivia. She took a sip of tea to buy time, frantically trying to remember if this detail had been included in their backstory. It hadn't. It was actually very simple, she began, deciding to speak from the heart. We were at my small studio apartment. I'd had a terrible day. A student had vandalized another's artwork, my brother was struggling with the boys, and I was exhausted. She smiled at the memory she was creating. Ethan showed up with takeout and a bottle of wine. After dinner, we sat on my tiny fire escape with mismatched mugs of tea, and he just asked me. "No ring, no grand gesture?" one of the women asked, sounding disappointed. "He had a ring," Olivia said, "but what mattered was that he saw what I needed that day. Not a fancy dinner or a public spectacle, but just presence. Partnership." She twisted the simple band Ethan had given her to wear for the weekend. "That's worth more than any diamond." The women exchanged glances, some looking touched, others skeptical. Eleanor dabbed at her eyes with a napkin. "That sounds exactly like my son," she said proudly. Quiet, but thoughtful. After tea, the women dispersed to rest and prepare for the evening's formal dinner and charity auction. Olivia returned to the suite, relieved to find it empty. She needed time to collect her thoughts, to remind herself that none of this was real. She took a long shower, letting the hot water wash away her confusion. When she emerged wrapped in a plush towel, she was startled to find Ethan sitting on the edge of the bed, his tie loosened and jacket discarded. "Sorry," he said quickly, averting his eyes. "I didn't hear the shower." "It's fine," Olivia replied, clutching the towel tighter. "How was your presentation?" "Productive." He stood, moving toward the balcony to give her space. "I'll just wait out here while you dress." Olivia slipped into the bathroom with her dress for the evening, a simple black cocktail dress that was the nicest thing she owned. When she emerged, Ethan was still on the balcony, looking out at the garden below. "You can come in now," she called. He turned, and his eyes widened slightly at the sight of her in the fitted dress. "You look beautiful," he said. "Thank you," she replied, feeling self-conscious under his gaze. "Is this appropriate for tonight?" "Perfect," he assured her, stepping closer. "But it's missing something." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "This was my grandmother's. My mother insisted I give it to you to wear tonight." Olivia opened the box to find a delicate pearl pendant on a gold chain. "Ethan, I can't." "Please," he said softly. "It would mean a lot to her." Hesitantly, Olivia nodded. Ethan took the necklace and moved behind her. His fingers brushed her neck as he fastened the clasp, sending shivers down her spine. "There," he said, his voice low near her ear. "Now you truly look like Mrs. Blake." Olivia turned to face him, acutely aware of how close they were standing. "Ethan, I need to tell you something." His eyes searched hers. "What is it?" "At the tea today they asked about our engagement. I had to make something up. I told them you proposed at my apartment after bringing dinner, that it was simple but meaningful." She looked down, embarrassed. "I wanted to warn you in case someone mentions it." To her surprise, Ethan lifted her chin gently with his finger. "That sounds exactly like something I would do," he said, a small smile playing at his lips. "Really?" His gaze dropped to her lips for a fleeting second before he stepped back. "We should head downstairs. The auction begins soon." The ballroom was transformed for the evening, with round tables elegantly set and a stage at the front for the charity auction. Ethan led Olivia to a table near the front where Eleanor was already seated, with the Winstons and the Fosters. "Olivia, darling," Eleanor exclaimed, "you're wearing Catherine's pendant. It looks beautiful on you." "Thank you for lending it to me," Olivia said, touching the pearl resting against her collarbone. "Lending?" Eleanor looked confused. "Oh no, dear, it's a gift. Catherine always wanted her granddaughter-in-law to have it." Before Olivia could protest, the evening's MC took the stage to welcome everyone. Throughout dinner, Ethan kept his hand on the back of Olivia's chair, occasionally leaning close to whisper comments about the other guests that made her laugh. The auction began after the meal, with various luxury items up for bid: exotic vacations, fine art, exclusive experiences. Olivia watched, amazed, as hundreds of thousands of dollars were pledged for charity. "And now," the auctioneer announced, "we have a special item, a private art workshop weekend with renowned painter Julian Vega at his studio in Provence. Excited murmurs rippled through the crowd. Beside her, Olivia felt Ethan tense slightly. Bidding starts at $30,000. Several hands shot up. The price quickly climbed to $75,000. Then $100,000. $150,000. Called a familiar voice from the back. Sophia stood, champagne glass in hand, looking directly at their table. $200,000. Ethan countered immediately. A hush fell over the room as the siblings locked eyes across the crowded ballroom. $250,000, Sophia said calmly. $300,000. Ethan responded without hesitation. Olivia placed her hand on Ethan's arm. "What are you doing?" she whispered. "She knows," Ethan said under his breath. "Julian Vega was our father's favorite artist. Mother always wanted to take his workshop." The bidding continued until it reached $500,000. The room was now completely silent, all eyes on the Blake siblings. $550,000, Sophia called, a challenging glint in her eye. Ethan hesitated. Beside him, Eleanor touched his hand. "It's just an auction, darling. Let it go." But Olivia could see the determination in Ethan's jaw. This wasn't just about an art workshop anymore. "Wait," she said suddenly, rising to her feet. All eyes turned to her. "May I make a suggestion?" The auctioneer nodded, looking curious. Given the exceptional generosity of both Mr. Blake and his sister, Olivia said clearly, perhaps Mr. Vega would consider offering 2 weekends. Both siblings could make their donations to this worthy cause, and both could enjoy the experience. A murmur of approval ran through the crowd. The auctioneer conferred briefly with someone off stage, then nodded. Mr. Vega is delighted to accommodate this arrangement, especially for such generous donations. Applause broke out. Ethan stared at Olivia with an unreadable expression. Across the room, Sophia raised her glass in a small salute. As the evening wound down and guests began to depart, Sophia approached their table. "Clever solution," she said to Olivia. Then to Ethan, "Perhaps Mother would like to join me for my weekend with Julian Vega." Eleanor's face lit up. "I would love that, Sophia." She turned to Ethan. "And you can take Olivia for yours. A second honeymoon of sorts." Olivia felt her cheeks heat up. There would be no second honeymoon because there had been no first one. By Monday, this would all be over. "Excuse me," she said suddenly, needing some air. "I'll be right back." She slipped out of the ballroom onto a small terrace. The night air was cool against her flushed skin. She leaned against the stone balustrade, taking deep breaths. "Are you all right?" Ethan's voice came from behind her. She turned to find him watching her with concern. "Just needed some air." He joined her at the railing, close enough that she could feel the warmth of him. "What you did in there with the auction? Thank you." "It seemed like the logical solution," she said with a shrug. "Most people wouldn't have thought of it." He studied her face in the moonlight. "You keep surprising me, Olivia Chen. Is that a good thing?" "Yes," he said softly. "It's a very good thing." A cool breeze made Olivia shiver. Without hesitation, Ethan removed his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. The weight of it was comforting, and it carried his scent, something subtle and expensive. But underneath that, just him. "We should go back inside," she said, making no move to do so. "We should," he agreed, staying exactly where he was. Their eyes met and held. For one breathless moment, Olivia thought he might kiss her. She found herself hoping he would. Instead, Ethan stepped back slightly. "Olivia, this arrangement. What about it?" "It's not what I expected." "What do you mean?" He ran a hand through his hair, looking uncharacteristically uncertain. "I mean that pretending to be married to you doesn't feel like pretending anymore." Her heart raced. "Ethan." "I know," he cut in quickly. "You're here to do a job. I'm paying you to play a role. I have no right to complicate things." "You're not complicating things," Olivia said quietly. "I am." Ethan looked at her questioningly. "Because I feel it too," she admitted. For a long moment they stood in silence, the weight of their confessions hanging between them. Then, from inside, Eleanor's voice called Ethan's name. "We should go back," Olivia said reluctantly. Ethan nodded, but before they turned to leave, he took her hand in his, interlacing their fingers in a gesture that felt more intimate than any kiss could have been. As they walked back into the ballroom hand in hand, Olivia wondered how she would ever go back to her real life after tomorrow. Because for the first time in years, this, being with Ethan, feeling his hand in hers, felt more real than anything waiting for her back home. Sunday morning dawned bright and clear. Olivia woke to find herself once again in Ethan's arms, but this time neither of them pulled away. For a few peaceful moments, they lay together in comfortable silence, his heartbeat steady against her back. "Good morning," he murmured, his voice rough with sleep. "Morning," she replied, turning to face him. In the soft morning light, with his hair mussed and his expression unguarded, he looked younger, more approachable than the stern CEO the EO world knew. "What time is it?" she asked. Ethan glanced at the clock. "Just after 7. We don't need to be downstairs until 9. The weekend wraps up with brunch and closing remarks. Then everyone heads home." His arms tightened slightly around her. "Tomorrow. This ends," Olivia finished. The reminder sent a pang through her chest. "Ethan, what are we doing?" He sighed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I don't know. I didn't plan for this." "For what?" "For you," he said simply. "For how real this would feel." Olivia sat up, putting some distance between them. "But it's not real, is it? Monday morning I go back to my apartment and my jobs, and you go back to your company. I'll have my $15,000 and you'll have—" "What exactly?" Ethan sat up as well, his expression troubled. "Is that what you want? To just go back to your life as if this never happened?" "What I want doesn't matter," Olivia said, getting out of bed. "This was a business arrangement from the start. What's happening now wasn't part of the deal." "So we just pretend the feelings aren't real?" Ethan asked, a rare edge of frustration in his voice. Olivia turned to face him. "Are they real, Ethan? Or is this just the situation? Playing house in this beautiful place, having everyone think we're in love, how do we know what's genuine and what's performance anymore?" Before he could answer, a knock sounded at their door. "Room service," called a cheerful voice. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "I didn't order anything." He pulled on a t-shirt and opened the door to find a smiling staff member with a covered tray. "Compliments of Mrs. Blake Sr., the young man said. "She said to tell you both to take your time this morning." After the server departed, Ethan brought the tray to the bed. Fresh coffee, warm pastries, fruit, and a note in elegant handwriting. "To my dear children, enjoy your last morning of peace before returning to the real world. With all my love, Eleanor." "Your mother is very thoughtful," Olivia said softly. "She likes you," Ethan replied, pouring coffee into 2 delicate cups. "She hasn't stopped talking about what a perfect match we are." Guilt twisted in Olivia's stomach. "Ethan, we can't keep lying to her." He handed her a cup, their fingers brushing. "I know." They ate breakfast in waited silence, both aware of the ticking clock on their arrangement. When they finally dressed and headed downstairs, the easy intimacy of the morning had been replaced by an uncertain tension. The final brunch was held on the main lawn under a white tent. Round tables were set with flowers and fine china, while servers circulated with champagne and orange juice. Eleanor waved them over to her table where Sophia was already seated. "There they are," Eleanor said happily. "I hope you enjoyed your breakfast in bed." "It was perfect, thank you," Olivia replied, accepting a kiss on the cheek from her mother-in-law. Sophia studied them both with curious eyes. "You two look intense this morning. Trouble in paradise?" "Just tired," Ethan said shortly. "It's been a full weekend." Before Sophia could press further, Daniel Foster approached their table. "Ethan, could I speak with you before you leave? There's a situation with the Singapore office that needs your attention." Ethan squeezed Olivia's hand. "I'll be right back," he promised before following Daniel away from the tent. "I should check on the kitchen," Eleanor said, rising from her seat. "They're preparing gift baskets for everyone to take home." Suddenly alone with Sophia, Olivia braced herself for more probing questions or barbed comments. Instead, Sophia leaned forward with surprising sincerity. "He's different with you," Sophia said. Happier, more like the brother I grew up with. Olivia looked down at her champagne flute. People change. Not Ethan. Not for years, anyway. Not since he took over the company and decided he had to be the perfect CEO, the perfect son. Sophia's eyes were serious. Until you. You don't know me, Olivia said quietly. I know enough, she replied. I know my brother, and I know you're not what I expected when I heard he'd married someone no one had met. What did you expect? Sophia shrugged. Someone like Rebecca Foster. Polished, ambitious, perfect for appearances, but with nothing underneath. She studied Olivia's face. You're the opposite. Real, sometimes awkwardly so. You care about him, not what he can do for you. The irony made Olivia wince. If Sophia knew about the $15,000, she'd see her exactly as she'd feared. Someone using Ethan. It's complicated, she said finally. Isn't it always? Sophia smiled ruefully. Just don't give up on him too easily. My brother needs someone who sees past the CEO to the man underneath. Before Olivia could respond, Ethan returned looking troubled. Everything okay? She asked. Just work, he said, but his expression remained tight. The brunch continued with speeches from Eleanor and several of the executives about the success of the family weekend. As the event drew to a close, guests began saying their goodbyes. Olivia found herself genuinely sad to be leaving Eleanor, who enveloped her in a warm embrace. You must come visit again soon, Eleanor insisted. Perhaps for the holidays, I want to hear all about that art workshop in Provence when you two go. Olivia forced a smile, her heart heavy with the knowledge that there would be no future visits, no workshop together. Thank you for everything, Eleanor. Thank you, my dear, Eleanor replied, clasping Olivia's hands, for bringing my son back to me. As they walked toward the car that would take them back to the city, Sophia approached one last time. To Olivia's surprise, she hugged her briefly, then offered her hand to Ethan. Good to see you, brother, she said. Maybe we could grab lunch sometime. Talk about that sustainable housing initiative you mentioned. Ethan looked momentarily stunned before shaking Sophia's hand. I'd like that. The drive back to the city was filled with a heavy silence. Olivia watched the countryside roll by, trying to sort through her conflicted emotions. Beside her, Ethan worked on his tablet, occasionally taking calls about urgent business matters. The CEO was firmly back in place, the vulnerable man from this morning hidden away. As they approached the city, Olivia finally broke the silence. Where should the driver take me? My apartment or somewhere else? Ethan looked up from his work, his expression unreadable. I thought we might go to my place first to talk. About what? About what happens next. He set his tablet aside. Unless you'd rather just end it here. Olivia thought about the easy option. Going home, depositing her check, returning to her normal life, but something in Ethan's eyes made her nod. Okay, your place. Ethan's penthouse was exactly what Olivia had expected. Sleek, modern, and immaculately decorated, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a spectacular view of the city. Yet, despite its perfection, it felt impersonal, like a high-end hotel rather than a home. Can I get you something to drink? Ethan asked, setting down her suitcase in the entryway. Water, please. As he disappeared into the kitchen, Olivia wandered into the living room. There were almost no personal touches, no photos, no mementos. The only exception was a small framed picture on a side table of a much younger Ethan with his parents and Sophia, all smiling on what looked like a sailboat. That was the summer before my father got sick, Ethan said, returning with 2 glasses of water. The last vacation we took as a family. Olivia accepted the glass. You look happy. I was, he said simply, sitting on the sleek sofa and gesturing for her to join him. For a moment neither spoke. Then Ethan reached into his jacket pocket and removed an envelope, placing it on the coffee table between them. Your payment, he said. 15,000, as agreed. Olivia stared at the envelope, a tangible reminder of the transaction at the heart of their weekend. Thank you, Olivia, Ethan began, his voice unusually hesitant. These past 3 days were a job. She finished for him, even as her heart argued otherwise. A role I played just like you asked. His jaw tightened. Is that all it was to you? Does it matter? She asked, unable to meet his eyes. Your mother got her weekend with her son and daughter-in-law. You avoided uncomfortable questions. Mission accomplished. Look at me, Ethan said quietly. When she did, the intensity in his eyes made her breath catch. Tell me it wasn't real, he challenged. Tell me you felt nothing, and I'll accept it. We'll go our separate ways. Olivia wanted to lie. It would be easier, cleaner. But she couldn't. It wasn't all pretend, she admitted. But that doesn't mean it could work in the real world. Why not? She laughed without humor. Where do I start? You're a billionaire CEO. I'm an art teacher who works nights at a gallery to pay bills. You live in this perfect penthouse. I share a small house with my brother and his kids. We're from different worlds, Ethan. I don't care about any of that, he insisted. You say that now, but what about when I can't attend some important business dinner because I'm teaching late? Or when your colleagues look at me like Rebecca Foster did, like I don't belong in your world? Ethan moved closer, taking her hands in his. Those things only matter if we let them matter. I've spent years surrounded by people who fit perfectly into my world, and not one of them has made me feel the way you do. And how is that? She asked softly. Seen, he said simply. You don't look at the CEO or the bank account. You see me, even when I was paying you to pretend. You were more genuine than anyone I've known in years. Olivia felt tears prick her eyes. I lied to your mother, to everyone. We both did, Ethan acknowledged. But what if we stopped? What if we tried something real? Just like that? No, he said, a hint of a smile touching his lips. Not just like that. I want to date you, Olivia Chen. Properly, no pretending, no audience. Just us figuring out if what we felt this weekend can grow into something real. Hope bloomed in Olivia's chest, but caution held it in check. And if it doesn't work, then at least we'll know we tried, he said. But I think it will. She bit her lip, still uncertain. Your mother will have to understand that our timing was a bit unconventional. That's one way to put it, Ethan said with a small laugh. His expression grew serious again. I'm not asking for promises, Olivia. Just a chance. Dinner tomorrow night. A real first date. The sincerity in his eyes melted her last reservations. Okay, she agreed softly. Dinner. His smile, open and genuine, transformed his face. Ethan leaned forward, his hand gently cupping her cheek. May I? He whispered. Olivia nodded, her heart racing. Unlike the practiced affection they'd displayed all weekend, this was real, their first true kiss with no audience, no pretense. His lips were soft against hers, the kiss tender and questioning at first, then deepening as she responded. When they finally broke apart, Olivia was breathless, her hands somehow having found their way to his chest. That definitely wasn't pretend, Ethan murmured, his forehead resting against hers. Definitely not, she agreed. Later, after they talked for hours about everything and nothing, her childhood dreams, his favorite books, the places they both wanted to see, Ethan called his driver to take Olivia home. As they stood at his door, he held the envelope out to her again. Take it, he said. A deal is a deal. Olivia hesitated, then shook her head. It feels wrong now. Then consider it a loan, he suggested. For your brother's mortgage and whatever else you need. You can pay me back however you want, whenever you can. His understanding of her pride touched her. Olivia accepted the envelope. Thank you. Tomorrow at 7, he confirmed. I'll pick you up. She smiled. It's a date. The next 2 weeks passed in a whirlwind. True to his word, Ethan took Olivia on proper dates. Dinners where they talked until the restaurant closed, a private tour of her favorite museum, an afternoon painting together in a studio he'd rented. Each moment together felt more natural than the last, as if they were uncovering something that had always been there beneath the surface. Ethan met Ryan and the boys, bringing art supplies and model rockets, and patiently helping 8-year-old Noah with his science project. Olivia spent evenings at his penthouse, gradually filling its perfect emptiness with small touches of herself, A colorful throw blanket here, a framed sketch there. They agreed to take things slow physically, both wanting to build something solid first. But their kisses grew longer, their goodbyes more reluctant. Ethan even began speaking with Sophia again. The siblings met for lunch, taking tentative steps toward repairing their relationship. "She asked about you," Ethan told Olivia afterward. "I think she knew before we did." Everything was falling into place until a business trip took Ethan to Berlin for 3 days. He called every night as promised, but when he returned, something was different. He seemed distracted, distant. "Is everything okay?" Olivia asked as they sat in his living room one evening, the silence between them growing uncomfortable. "Just work," he said. The same answer he'd given at the retreat. This time she didn't believe him. "Ethan, talk to me," she insisted. "Whatever it is." "I have to go to Singapore," he cut in. "For a while this time." Olivia felt her heart sink. "How long is a while, Min?" 6 months minimum. He ran a hand through his hair. "We're launching a major sustainability initiative in Southeast Asia. I need to be there to oversee it personally." "Oh?" Her voice sounded small even to her own ears. "When do you leave?" "Next week." He finally met her eyes. "Come with me." Olivia blinked, certain she'd misheard. "What?" "Come to Singapore," he repeated. "We could see if this works there as well as it does here." For a moment, Olivia was tempted, but reality quickly asserted itself. "I can't just leave, Ethan. My brother, the boys, they depend on me. My students, my responsibilities." "I understand," he said, disappointment evident in his voice. "It was a lot to ask." "It is," she agreed gently. "We've only been dating for 2 weeks." "It feels longer," he said quietly. "Because we started with a marriage." Olivia reminded him with a sad smile. "Most people don't do it backward like that." The week passed too quickly. Olivia helped Ethan pack, researched places he should visit in Singapore, promised to video call regularly. But as his departure grew closer, a feeling of inevitability settled over her. Long-distance relationships were hard enough without adding their vastly different lives to the equation. The night before he was to leave, Olivia came to his penthouse for dinner. They'd both been careful all evening, too polite, too controlled. When Ethan excused himself to take a business call, Olivia wandered to the windows, looking out at the city lights as tears threatened. "I'm sorry about that," Ethan said, returning to find her still staring out at the skyline. "Olivia, what's wrong?" She turned to face him, summoning her courage. "This isn't going to work, is it?" His expression fell. "Don't say that. 6 months apart, when we've barely had time to start something real. Different time zones, different worlds." She shook her head. "I think we both know the odds." Ethan closed the distance between them, taking her hands in his. "I don't care about odds. I care about you." "And I care about you," she said softly. "That's why I think we should be honest with ourselves." "And what's the honest truth, Olivia?" His voice was tight with emotion. "Tell me what you really think is happening here." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I think we got caught up in a fantasy. Playing house in a beautiful setting. Everyone believing we were in love. Maybe we started to believe it too." "That's not what happened," Ethan insisted. "What I feel for you is real." "Maybe it is," she acknowledged, "but sometimes reality isn't enough. You have your life, your responsibilities. I have mine. We tried to bridge 2 different worlds, and for a little while, it seemed possible. But your world is pulling you to Singapore, and mine is keeping me here." "So that's it?" Anger flashed in his eyes. "You're giving up before we've really started?" "I'm being practical," Olivia said. "Something I thought you'd understand." "This isn't about being practical. This is about being afraid," Ethan replied. "You're looking for excuses because you're scared this could be real." The accusation stung because there was truth in it. "Maybe I am afraid," she admitted. "Afraid of falling for someone whose life will never truly align with mine. Afraid of what happens when the fantasy ends and reality sets in." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I see." He stepped back, his walls visibly rising. "I won't beg you to believe in us, Olivia." "I'm not asking you to," she said softly. They stood in silence, the city lights twinkling behind them like the stars they couldn't see. "I should go," Olivia finally said, gathering her purse. Ethan nodded stiffly. I'll have the driver take you home. Their goodbye was painfully formal, so different from the easy intimacy they'd shared just days before. As the elevator doors closed between them, Olivia felt a piece of her heart staying behind with the man who had somehow, against all odds, come to mean so much to her in such a short time. 2 weeks passed. Olivia threw herself into work, picking up extra classes at the art studio and booking as many gallery shifts as possible. She helped Ryan find a better job, fixed the leaky roof in their house, and tried not to check her phone every 5 minutes for messages that didn't come. Ethan had texted once to let her know he'd arrived safely in Singapore. She'd responded with a simple, "Thank you," nothing more. Every night, she checked social media and business news, catching glimpses of him at corporate events in Asia. He looked the same, handsome, composed, successful. But she noticed the shadows under his eyes, the way his smile never quite reached them. One rainy evening, as Olivia closed up the gallery alone, her phone rang with an unexpected name, Sophia Blake. "Olivia," she said when Olivia answered. "Have you spoken to my brother lately?" "No," Olivia admitted. "We decided it was best to end things before he left." Sophia sighed heavily. "I was afraid of that. He's not doing well, you know? Oh, the business is fine. Ethan's always perfect at work. But when I called him yesterday, he looked terrible. He's not sleeping." Guilt twisted in Olivia's stomach. "What do you want me to do, Sophia?" The hard work of two people determined to build something real together despite their different backgrounds. Their journey wasn't without challenges. There would be more adjustments as they navigated their different worlds, more compromises as they built a shared life. The grant project would demand Emma's time and energy. Alexander's company would continue to require his leadership. Distance would remain a factor until they decided where and how to merge their lives completely. But standing beside this man who had seen her strength and valued it, who had opened doors without pushing her through them, Emma felt certain of one thing. Sometimes the wrong turn led exactly where you were meant to go all along. 6 months after that fateful rainy day at the airport, Emma stood on the balcony of their Paris hotel room, watching the sun set over the city that had witnessed the beginning of their story. Alexander joined her, wrapping his arms around her waist from behind. "Happy?" he asked, his breath warm against her ear. Emma leaned back into his embrace, feeling the solid strength of him, the security of being loved for exactly who she was. "Completely," she answered truthfully. Tomorrow they would return to their real lives. Emma to her nursing shifts and grant project development, Alexander to his company and endless meetings. But they would return together, partners in the truest sense, building a future neither had imagined that rainy day when a simple nurse boarded a billionaire's jet by mistake and found herself on the journey of a lifetime. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us. Fly to Singapore. Would you? She asked seriously. If you could? The question caught Olivia off guard. Would she? The honest answer came immediately. Yes. That's what I thought, Sophia said. Check your email. After hanging up, Olivia opened her inbox to find a message from Sophia containing a first-class plane ticket to Singapore departing the next evening. He'd never ask you himself, Sophia's note read. He's too proud. But some things are worth fighting for. The car will pick you up at 6 p.m. Olivia stared at the screen, her heart racing. Could she really do this? Drop everything and fly halfway around the world for a relationship that had barely begun? When she got home, she found Ryan in the kitchen helping the boys with homework. I need to talk to you, Olivia said, sitting heavily at the table. Ryan looked up, concerned. What's wrong? Olivia explained everything. The ticket, Sophia's call, her feelings for Ethan that refused to fade despite their agreement to end things. So what's stopping you? Ryan asked when she finished. You, the boys, my jobs, Olivia began. Ryan cut her off. We'll be fine. I have the new job now. The boys are doing better. You've put your life on hold for us long enough. He reached across the table to squeeze Olivia's hand. "It's time you did something for yourself. But what if I go all that way and he doesn't want to see me?" Ryan smiled knowingly. His sister wouldn't have sent the ticket if she didn't think otherwise. The next evening, with a hastily packed suitcase and her heart in her throat, Olivia found herself on a plane to Singapore. The 18-hour flight gave her plenty of time to second-guess her decision, to imagine all the ways Ethan might reject her, to wonder if she was making the biggest mistake of her life. By the time she arrived, exhausted and nervous, at the address Sophia had provided, a luxury apartment in a high-rise building in an upscale district of Singapore, Olivia had nearly talked herself out of the whole thing. But she'd come too far to turn back now. The elevator ride to the top floor felt endless. When the doors finally opened directly into a penthouse similar to Ethan's back home, Olivia stepped out hesitantly, calling his name. No answer. She ventured further in, noting the signs of his presence: a laptop on the coffee table, a half-empty cup of coffee, suit jacket thrown over a chair, but no Ethan. Olivia was about to call Sophia when she noticed the glass doors leading to a balcony were slightly ajar. She approached cautiously and saw him standing with his back to her, looking out at the Singapore skyline glittering in the early evening light. For a moment she simply watched him, taking in the strong line of his shoulders, the familiar way he stood with his hands in his pockets. Then, gathering her courage, she stepped onto the balcony. "The view's almost as nice as yours back home," she said softly. Ethan froze, then turned slowly, disbelief written across his features. "Olivia." "Hi," she said, suddenly feeling foolish. What if Sophia had been wrong? What if Ethan had moved on? "What are you? How did you—" He couldn't seem to finish a thought. "Your sister," she explained. "She sent me a ticket, said you weren't sleeping." Ethan's expression shifted from shock to something softer, more vulnerable. "Sophia did that?" Olivia nodded, taking a tentative step closer. "I can leave if you want. I needed to see you." "No," he said quickly. "Don't leave." They stood looking at each other, the city lights glimmering around them, the distance between them both physical and emotional. "I made a mistake," Olivia finally said, her voice catching. "I got scared and I pushed you away. I told myself it was because our worlds were too different, but the truth is, I was afraid of how much I was starting to need you." Ethan moved toward her, hope and caution warring in his eyes. "And now? Now I'm still afraid," she admitted. "But I'm more afraid of never knowing what could have been, of letting fear make my decisions." She took a deep breath. "So I'm here, if you still want to try." For what felt like an eternity, Ethan just looked at her. Then, wordlessly, he closed the distance between them, pulling her into his arms with such force that she gasped. His lips found hers in a kiss that spoke of longing, of sleepless nights, of the pain of separation. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. "I thought I'd lost you," he whispered. "I'm sorry," she said. "I should have—" "No," he interrupted. "I should have fought harder, should have made you see that none of the differences between us matter." His arms tightened around her. "Because the truth is, Olivia Chen, I've fallen in love with you. And distance, jobs, different worlds, none of it changes that." Tears spilled down Olivia's cheeks. "I love you too," she whispered. Ethan brushed her tears away with gentle fingers. "So, what now?" "I don't know," she admitted. "I didn't exactly plan past showing up at your door." He laughed, the sound warming her heart. "How long can you stay?" "A week," she said. "Ryan insisted I take the time off." "A week," he repeated thoughtfully. "Not enough, but it's a start." He took her face in his hands. "We'll figure out the rest as we go. Together." As he kissed her again, the Singapore skyline sparkling around them like stars, Olivia knew they'd face challenges. Distance, different responsibilities, two worlds trying to merge. None of it would be easy. But standing in Ethan's arms, feeling his heartbeat against hers, she also knew they'd find a way. Because what had started as a weekend pretending to be in love had become something neither of them had expected. Something real, something worth fighting for. 6 months later, Olivia waited at the airport for Ethan's return flight from Singapore. She fingered the key to their new home, Not his penthouse, not her shared house with Ryan, but a place they'd chosen together that sat somewhere in between their worlds. A place where her brother and the boys could visit comfortably. A place with a studio where she could teach private classes. A place where Ethan could leave his CEO persona at the door. When he finally emerged from the gate, looking tired but happy, his face lit up at the sight of her. As she ran into his arms, Olivia marveled at how a simple business arrangement had changed everything. Sometimes, the best things in life came from the most unexpected beginnings. And sometimes, just sometimes, pretending to be in love was the first step to finding the real thing. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.